loosen up those hips.
Okay, like this?
Yeah.
Who the fuck are you?
Help you?
Oh, do something! Fucking
Help!
Well, it's good to be back, guys. Missed you. And my cowboy hat's coming off for this one. You see, guys, many of you, if you look at a person like me, for some of you, this is what comes to mind. Or maybe you might think of this.
Like you know it, kinda like the way that thing beat like a horn. Turn around, yeah, that's it, good lord. Tryna do a Chinese split and make it forward. And whistle while you work and let me see.
And some of you in closed circles might even talk about how awful this is. See, the image of black people, especially American black people, is often demonized and looked at as a caricature of violence and racism. But the question is why? Why do so many people have this image of American blacks and blacks in general as violent, dangerous, hedonistic, and so on? Well, most likely because you get your opinions from social media, Hollywood, TV, and film, which is mostly owned by people who support anti-black views. A lot of you might be of the opinion that black people are extremely untrustworthy. Maybe some of us will steal from you. Dear God, don't let your daughters marry one of us. You know, it's gotten so ridiculous out there that there are even people publishing books saying that black people have a violent gene. It's a genetic, we are genetic freaks. All right, and not in the interesting way like Big Papa Pump. What if I told you that everything you believed is a lie? That the statistics that are often pointed out are usually false? You see, this idea of black Americans being this extremely dangerous, violent, hedonistic group is a trope that goes back hundreds of years. Even at the very beginning of slavery, the justification of the enslavement of black people was simply because by nature they were violent, hedonistic, and dangerous individuals who need to be controlled. Well, my dear viewers, you're going to want to show this video to your racist ops on social media who constantly sling out those false statistics to vilify people like me. Because we're going to be going on a wild ride. Let's do it. Let's rock. Well, my dear viewers, many of you who have been with me from day one, we're going to be debunking one of the most popular and idiotic statistics I have ever heard. And that is, black people in America make up 13% of the population, yet are responsible for 50% of all crime. And therefore, they are dangerous. All 13% are horrible monsters. Yes, that's right. The 13% of black people are alien creatures from the planet Mars. They are the King Kong at the top of the building. They are the Super Saiyan aliens who have come to Earth to take it over. They are the dangerous, horrible monster that hid under your bed when you were a child. We're going to be going through this and we're going to be proving why it's bullshit. Before I debunk this statistic, I actually want to talk about where harmful, prejudiced, wrong stereotypes can come from and why they become so popular. I think this is extremely important because we have to understand the nature of the beast that we're dealing with here.
Because we learned later that the CIA was flooding us with drugs. At the same time they got the war on drugs, they got the war on black people by putting the drugs in there. So that's twofold.
Have you ever seen that headline from the New York Times about that? The CIA with the putting drugs in neighborhoods in America. It's literally, we can pull it up, Alessi, but there was a headline back then that said, the CIA investigated itself on putting drugs in the neighborhoods of America and found no wrongdoing.
I'm gonna buy a plow, man.
I'm gonna plant that corn.
Go get a John Deere. Barack Obama, mother. I'm the president of plowing that.
No way. This is a meme, right? This is like a deep fake that we're watching right now? This is a deep fake, right? Like, I knew Steven Crowder was like an awful human being, but like, dude, for one, horribly unfunny. The only thing that's funny about this is that they thought that this was funny. It's funny how he said, yeah, I'm a corn farmer, a farming dad. Yay, gang, I'm black, you feel me? Is he gonna pan to one of his co-hosts in blackface right now? Is that what he's about to do? Is that where he's looking? Is that the next part of this joke?
The Italians, we do not claim you.
Oh, hey, the Italians don't claim you. You're the one dating a black guy. The Italians don't claim me. They don't claim you.
Oh no, they claim me. They claim me.
I don't think so.
They do.
Italian guys, yeah.
Italians,
Tell an
we're
Italian
big-
guy
we're
about
big
your
lovers.
affinity for black guys. That'll go over real well.
Good one, Nick.
Maybe some Braciole. There's some Italian
No,
for
but
you.
I will make my black boyfriend some of that.
Ugh, wow. You don't know any better.
I mean, would you use the N-word out of interest?
Yes.
You would?
I do quite frequently.
You use the M-word quite frequently. Well, why? Other than the fact you're a despicable racist. Are you?
Some would say I am. I guess according to the ADL, I'm a white supremacist. I'm a neo-Nazi.
Yeah, well, if you use the M-word repeatedly, you are a racist then, are you? Are you?
Sure, I'll embrace that. If that means forwarding, helping white people achieve freedom of speech, real freedom of speech, which, by the way, Shiloh Hendricks is being attacked on all fronts. They're trying to bring legal charges against her. They're trying to get her children taken away. So you were saying Carmelo Anthony, it doesn't matter. That's a different.
Sorry, but just to
kind of
be
thing.
clear, you just said to me you use the N-word regularly. In what context? Do you use it with black people?
Yes, if it's appropriate.
When would it be appropriate to use the N-word? When would it be appropriate?
Anytime I feel like it.
So you're an unashamed racist.
Correct.
Well, do you understand that makes you a despicable human being?
I guess so. I don't really care.
Firstly, we have something called popularity bias. So, for those of you who are not in the loop, let me explain to you what popularity bias is by using a very interesting example. To understand popularity bias deeper is Solomon Asch's conformity experiments. His classic judgment studies showed that when a lone participant is placed in a group of people who all give the wrong answer, the participant will often conform and give the wrong answer too. So why were these studies done? Basically to help people understand why mass influence and even a short form of influence by a group of peers can change people's mind to believe things that may not always be true. This not only works on adults, but it also works on adolescents as well. See the article also linked below. In one of the foundational experiments of social psychology, Asch showed that a single individual will often go along with the group's wrong answer, not because they believe it, but because the group is popular and unanimous. This shows how popularity bias isn't a minor force. It can change what we see, what we believe, and how we act. When popular voices say something loudly, many people go along without checking the facts. What is kind of terrifying about Solomon Asch's experiments is that 75% of participants conformed to at least one of his paradigms, which basically means that if this is a reflection of society as a whole, the majority of people, they tend to fall under or be influenced by popularity. And we can see this online through social media. Sometimes you'll look at an influencer or you look at a popular person on the campaign trail or whoever. And sometimes you'll ask yourself, why is this person so popular? Why do so many people like this person? Is he smart? Is he intelligent? Does he talk about the facts? Does he help humanity? Is he doing something that is of great significance towards the betterment of society? It's hard to say, I don't know, but I can tell you this much for sure. A lot of people, they follow them simply because they are popular. And the idea and the notion is very simple. If this person is quite popular, then how can they be wrong? If everybody likes said person, then how can their opinions be wrong? So if you have a popular figure who comes out and says, well, 13% of black people commit 50% of crimes and murders and they are dangerous, then if they have a huge following, they must be right, because if they're wrong, why do so many people follow them? And this sort of thing happens all the time, all around us, in terms of the stars people look at, the internet talents, social media talents that people love and adore, and so on, so on, so on. The problem with popularity bias is that, as we can see with Solomon Asch's experiments, it can all be a lie. People can lie, right? And if you take one person, you can make him popular through buying followers, through political influence, through just getting a bunch of people to agree with him and paying them off. There's tons of ways to get a lot of people to, let's say, inflate the numbers of popularity. And that is why popularity bias is so dangerous, because in the modern age, people that look at their favorite influencers or stars or political figures, they don't actually look at what they're really saying or even cross-check or reference a lot of the things these people do, or even judge them on a moral or ethical basis based on their own behavior. They just see person A is popular, so they must be right. If they are wrong, then why do so many people follow them? They must be telling the truth. Interesting. In fact, the Solomon Asch experiment can become quite scary when you realize you can even do it yourself. Here's an experiment you can do. Get 5 of your friends and take someone to a restaurant where the food is just okay. All right? Just okay. And then what I would like you to do is I'd like you to pretend, I want you to tell all 4 or 5 of those friends that this food is the best food you've ever had. But you need one person who is not privy to this information, okay? It could be one of the 5 or it could be an extra person. And what I want you to do is I want you and your friends to just say, wow, this is amazing, this is great. You know, almost have an orgasm while eating that food. What you're gonna see, which is very interesting, is that 6th person might look at the food more favorably than it really is. You could try this with music as well. Take a song that is not the best song, not terrible, but not the best, and then play it and have all your friends dance around, do the body roll, do everything. Make it look like they're having the best time of their life. And that one person might start to view that song favorably. Because here's the thing about popularity bias. Everybody wants to have fun. And that's what makes it so dangerous. Because when people see other people around them enjoying a popular sentiment, idea, movement, behavior, no matter how bad it is, no matter how wrong it is, no matter how much of a lie it is, people are still going to gravitate towards it because you don't want to be left out, right? Now, aside from popularity bias, there is another aspect that charlatans use in order to spread lies and misinformation, and that is something known as confirmation bias. Now, akin to popularity bias, confirmation bias is pretty easy to understand. It is a simple notion. The idea that having someone agree with ideas and values that you hold dear to yourself makes you more inclined to view that person favorably. This is not a hard concept to understand. people gravitate towards others who have the same values and opinions as themselves. The issue with confirmation bias is that it can be used to mislead people. You can understand what a person identifies with, what they like, how they feel about certain things, and by simply conforming to those things and saying exactly what they want to hear, and taking the things that they love and the things that they value very deeply and putting those attributes upon yourself, you become more favorably viewed by those people. Why is this dangerous? Because people who use this don't have to agree or believe in any of the values that you have at all. They simply utilize them to build a favorable image of themselves in your mind so they can take advantage of you. And by taking advantage, it doesn't have to be money. It could just be having you as a follower. But the truth of the matter is, jokes aside, we see a lot of people do this on social media, in Hollywood, in music, in films. And so if they find that a certain talking point, no matter how racist it is, makes them more popular with their viewers, they will absolutely use it. And there's a lot of grifters on social media, on YouTube, who use certain talking points because they know that they will get fans. And not only is it disingenuous, but it's also unfair and disrespectful. And it's just something I personally do not like. But it happens all the time, and we know exactly who those people are. Now, the third aspect is called identity emulation bias. And that is that people, they tend to gravitate towards those who have a similar image as themselves. I'll give you an example. If I were to tell another woman how women feel, or if I were to talk to another woman about female excellence, yes, there are women that will listen, but the message becomes stronger when it comes from a woman. But what if that woman looks exactly like you as a female? Or if that man looks exactly like you? You're an alpha male. He hits all the boxes and ticks everything of what an alpha male should look like. And he talks in a way that you talk. When that happens, people say, I found a kindred spirit, right? I found someone who's the same as me. So how can they be wrong, right? And we see this a lot with people who are using politics on YouTube, or they have political followings off of YouTube, or they have these huge, massive social media, whatever followings. They tend to change their image to be the ideal of what their followers want them to be. All of these things are things that conform to someone. You look like me, and we have a similar background, so you must be right. And it is an illusion that most intellectuals can break through. But for the common masses, if they're not intellectually inclined to actually break through that, they can be swept up and manipulated very easily. Now, all of that can work. In fact, you only just need one of them. People can go very far just based on popularity bias or confirmation bias or identity emulation bias just by themselves. But the true amazing grifter and liar and manipulator, they use something I call the charm effect. So what is the charm effect? The charm effect is basically three things. Smile. And these kind of people, they should practice their smiles. Do you practice your smiles? Because smiling psychologically has been known to make people appear more friendly. People automatically view a smile as a positive thing, right? Test it. Go outside and just smile at random people. You'll be surprised how many people smile back. So you want to have a nice smile. I don't know if my smile is good. I think my smile breaks mirrors. But here's the thing. You want to have a good smile and humor. Humor is the second aspect. If you look at a lot of liars and grifters, oftentimes they utilize humor. If they themselves are not funny, then they put themselves in situations that are funny. They can be the most terrible, vile, disgusting human beings. They can be doing things that, lead people astray, lead youth astray, celebrating drugs, random sex, all kinds of dark, evil things. But because they use humor, they can make people, fall in love with them. There's something about humor that can be utilized for great good and also for great evil. I think everything has two sides. The strongest aspect of humor is the ability to disarm others. The last part, which I think is the cherry on top, is being relatively good looking to some degree. Now, I don't mean, remember I said relatively, you don't have to be the most beautiful or handsome person. You just have to be very well cleaned up. When you combine these three aspects, they become the charm effect. And when you add the charm effect on top of these three prior aspects, you create a figure who can manipulate many, many people. And this same figure can throw out statistics like black people are responsible for 50% of crime and nobody will question it. Even some black people will start to run with it. Right? And I'm not talking about your average coon. I'm talking about black people who just don't do their research, right? Black people who, in some ways, do not check and cross-check things that popular figures say. It gets even worse because you don't have to necessarily put these four aspects into a person. You can put these four aspects into a film, into a song, into any sort of entity that you want to mislead or persuade people. A common pattern among manipulators is that they are really good at one of these four aspects, but in many, many cases, they usually have the charm effect to some degree. So why did I mention these four aspects to you? Because I want you to understand very deeply why so many people end up being manipulated by lies and facts. It's because the people who spread these lies and facts are extremely smart. They're not just stupid people. And whenever someone says so-and-so is stupid or someone says I'm not the smartest person, I usually look at them sideways, because in many cases the people that we think are simple-minded, or they just happen to read up on some information, statistics, and they're just helping the world and trying to get people to do better. A lot of times they know exactly what they're doing. A lot of times they're not dumb, they're very smart, and sometimes they're even very well read and very well researched, and they know that what they're doing is for some type of agenda, whether it is building their fan base so that they can grift people, or it is because they truly, truly dislike or hate someone, and they just want to change the society into some version of the world that they seem to think is better, using lies and manipulation and cheating and so on and so on. The interesting thing about grifters, right, and if you don't know what a grifter is, it just means someone who uses all four of the aspects that I said in order to mislead people, is that most grifters themselves, they just care about themselves. They are inherently selfish. They want more money. They want more profitability. And so they utilize these four aspects in a way to build their own credibility so that they can manipulate the gullible. Right? And you'd be surprised how many people are manipulated. And so that is why it is very important for every person to develop their logic and reasoning as they would develop their health, their body. Just because you are smart in a given field doesn't mean that your logic, reasoning, and analytical skills are up to par. And even if they are up to par, it's not like you reach this level so you're done. logic, reasoning, and analytical skills, they continue to develop throughout your life. And that is where the idea of wisdom comes from. After you reach a certain age, 60, 70, 80, you should have hopefully developed your logic, reasoning, and analytical skills enough to see through bullshit. Speaking of bullshit, well guys, it's time for the moment you've all been waiting for. Let's look at a very commonly cited and false statistic. Compilation, please.
It's just not true, man. Violent crime, you just said, like you said, a small percentage of the country, about 12 to 13%, 50% of the violent crime. But the murder, a 12 times likelihood.
That's a skewed stat.
If you just, so you don't listen to them?
No, I said that particular stat is skewed.
It's not skewed. These are from the FBI DO.
At first, Alfred Porter said he didn't understand what was happening. The first time he saw a woman clutch her purse when he passed her on the street.
But when it happened a second, a third, a fourth time,
he realized that his size and race startled people, especially at night.
Sometimes I will announce myself almost like 10 to 15 feet away. I get so tired of passing somebody by and they jump.
There was a real fear that if you let blacks get control, everything would change. And there was no, with some people, there was no idea that there would be any fairness or any democracy or anything, that there would be a decent, well-run city government, county government, whatever. It was like, if this happens, we're lost. And it was just a terrible fear.
Look, these black people are really struggling, and they're turning into these maniacs. It seems like they don't do anything right. They're obnoxious, they're rude, they're inconsiderate, aggressive, cruel. These people have no respect for decorum. They think the rules don't apply to them. They have no respect for society. In this day and age, unfortunately, seem to have very low moral character. It's not even just the violence, although the violence is pretty striking.
All right. So we heard all of the grifters talking just now. So let's look at the actual data. There are a total of 46 to 50 million black Americans. That is around 14.4% of the population. But let's just keep it at 13 for argument's sake. So in that number includes FBAs. FBA stands for Foundational Black American, which are the descendants of slaves, black aboriginals who were here before the settlers came, and black Native Americans. Or very dark-skinned Native Americans. Now, for the interesting aspects of FBA, there are about 43 million FBA in America. Now, the rest of the black people happen to be immigrants, first, second, third, fourth, fifth generation immigrants from all around the world. Okay, and here's the thing, FBA is not an anti-African, anti-white movement. It's just a lineage, My ancestors were brought here, and they were forced to build the majority of this country. Okay, whether or not people want to acknowledge that history or not. Keep in mind, just in the cotton industry alone, slavery increased to over 3 million slaves, and it sparked the American Industrial Revolution, which led to America becoming a very prosperous nation. And that is just one aspect. Don't get me started on the many, many others, so we're going to be here all night. A lot of people say that non-MBA black Americans are about 5 million or more, depending on what over 43 million means. So the 43 million FBA number is not exact, it is tentative, but people put it at around 43 million, with the rest of the black population, if there's between 46 to 50 million, being the excess number of total black people in the United States. So now that we know how many black people there are in the United States in total, let's actually start breaking down this lie of the 13-50%. So the 13% comes from the fact that black Americans make up roughly around 30% of the population. Actually, it's 14.4%. The 50% of crime statistic comes from the FBI Uniform Crime Report UCR arrested data. And a lot of people, they don't understand that the FBI Uniform Crime Report is actually not convictions, all right? The FBI UCR is for arrest data, okay? A lot of people, they cite this as 100% verifiable proof that 13% of black Americans are doing 50% of the crime of the entire country, and they are just out of control. Okay, and arrest does not always mean guilt. Okay, there's lots of aspects that you have to include, whether it's police behavior, surveillance patterns, systemic bias. These are not actual crime rates. I know that there are plenty of people out there that are going to say, "Hey, I don't believe it. You know, show me the proof, right?" Well, let's go deeper down this rabbit hole and debunk this this lie even further. It gets ridiculous, okay? So if you actually look at raw numbers, things become very funny, and almost so funny to the point where I think that it's just laughable, ridiculous. So the majority of black people never face arrest or incarceration. Even among those arrested, many cases are dropped, reduced, or never lead to prison time. According to the Bureau of Justice Statistics, in 2023, there were 1.25 million people in state and federal prison in the US. About 32% of them were black. So if you do the math, that is about 400,000, okay? That's out of a population of 42, 43 million FBAs, and if you want to round off all black people, around 45, 46 to 50 million black people. That is a number of 0.95% of black Americans that are incarcerated in prison at any given time. So your image of black people like this.
Just for Kendra, motherfucker. Since you love her, be with her.
Is 99.05% not true. That means that 99.05% of black people in America are not in state or federal prison at any given time. But everybody has their aha, gotcha moment. You're talking about just state and federal prisons. What if we just include local jails in that estimate as well? Well, if you include all jails in America, all prisons and federal and state prisons, all right, then the number is still extremely small, all right? So there are 1.8 million total incarcerated in the United States as of 2023, and about 35% are black, which is about 630,000 people out of 43 million Americans, right? Even if you round the number to, let's say, 42 million, right? That's only about 1.5% of black Americans that are behind bars at any given time. So when someone says that black people are dangerous, they're ignoring the fact that 98.5% of black Americans are not in prison or jail. They are students, workers, parents, soldiers, leaders, neighbors, creators. There are people that love to hang out, have a good time. They are peace-loving, abiding citizens. Now, I know what you guys are going to say. You guys are going to say, but the studies. Well, I mean, if we actually go to the URC arrest, report FBI website, there are some really huge key problems that sort of arrive. UCR data is not complete. So firstly, not all agencies report the data. All right. It reflects arrests, not convictions, again, as I said initially, and it's influenced by where police focus their resources. So black neighborhoods are more likely to be policed. All right. Not only that, but the most damning thing about this research is that it is not a scientifically controlled study by any means. It is raw, biased policing data. That's all. And it doesn't have the right to paint a picture of someone like me as being violent, right? Because when you say stupid things like 13% of the population are responsible for 50% of the crimes, what you're essentially trying to insinuate that American, you have a 50% chance of a black person doing something harmful for you. Hide your kids, hide the wife, because all of us are out here doing destructive things, which is, again, just a complete lie. Crime correlates more with poverty and lack of opportunity than it does race. If we use the same logic that most of these racist grifters use, we could say white men are the majority of mass shooters in the US. But no one concludes that all white people are dangerous. Why is that, right? So it gets even worse, guys. On top of that, FBA have a disproportionately high number of wrongful convictions overturned. More than any other group in America, according to the National Registry of Exonerations, black people represent only about 13% of the population, but account for nearly 50% of all documented exonerations. That means that many of these arrests and convictions that fuel the 13-50% talking points were never legitimate in the first place, which means that the number of people that you think doing or committing crimes could be significantly lower. The Marshall Project, okay? The Marshall Project, another link below, nonprofit news organization focusing on criminal justice, the criminal justice system. A recent analysis shows that violent crime rates have been declining, challenging narratives that overemphasize crime in certain communities, especially saying that black people are increasingly dangerous and violent, which has been the rhetoric for the past several years in the United States and, has been spreading around the world thanks to propagandists using those lies and then moving them to different countries and spreading them. Racist, in my opinion, racist, they are so boneheaded that it's quite funny to me, So I know that there are plenty of gotcha people out there, the gotcha moments people, because I've been focusing on crime. But there are people that are going to turn around and say, well, we didn't mean crime, we mean murder. 13%, black people represent 13% of the population, yet they're responsible for 50% of murders in the whole country. So I think that's also pretty hilarious when you look at the actual data. So let's talk about murders, okay, especially black Americans, FBA, and when it comes to just murder in general. So again, you can look up this information. I'm providing links at the bottom below. So let's just break this down, okay? If black Americans are, let's say, 13% of the population, again, it's a little bit higher, but let's just say they are, okay, around 44 million people, okay? And there are roughly 16,000 to 17,000 murders per year in the United States, okay? And that's according to a lot of the racist favorite source, FBI, okay? Even if, okay, that 50% of the arrests were for murder, okay? Let's just say that. Let's just roll with that. 50% of arrests were for murder, okay? Ignoring, false convictions and, 60% exonerations for DNA exonerations are black. Ignore all that data, okay? That's about 8,000 people arrested. All right, not 50% of all black people. That is why a lot of FBA, especially intellectual FBA, well-read FBA, that is why they often say, or they often source, look at the raw data. Look at the actual numbers, not just some racist people saying 13%, 50%. Because, all right, let's continue on. 8,000 people arrested, okay? Not 50% of all black people, okay? Now, if you take 8,000, I know math is hard for some racists, but, you know, all of you who are not racist, love you. If you take 8,000 and you divide it into 44 million, that is 0.018%. That's less than 0.02% of 1% of the black population in America. Meaning that more than 99.98% of black Americans are not arrested, convicted, involved in murder. Do you understand what that means? That means that if you meet me, you have a 99.98% chance of surviving that encounter. Okay? I mean, it's so funny. And a lot of people, they just don't know this. Because when you say things like 13%, 50%, people automatically assume that black people are just murdering people willy-nilly like Rambo, like some sort of black Terminators. But the truth is 99.98% of the black population in the United States have never killed anyone and will never kill anyone. And I think it's kind of funny that we are demonized in that regard. Over 99% of black people are not in prison, jail, state or federal at any given time in the United States. And it's kind of sad that the demonization of black Americans is still increasing to this very day. The rhetoric is just getting worse and worse and worse. So that is why it's extremely important to hold your friends accountable when they spread lies. I personally do not like liars, especially people who lie maliciously. Now, let's be honest, okay? Everybody in their life has told a lie. And according to psychologists, people lie almost every other day. But I'm not talking about white lies. I could care less if you didn't tell me exactly what you ate for breakfast, or exactly, you know, how many girlfriends or boyfriends or whatever you've had. I'm talking about malicious lies, lies that hurt people, lies that get people killed, lies that prevent people from getting a job, lies that create stigma so that people cannot have forward momentum. When you go online and you say things like 13%, 50%, or you and your friends, they laugh at and have a coffee and feel superior because you may not have the most money in the world, but at least you're better than the blacks, what you're doing is you're essentially hurting people.
Wood. Know me broken by my master. Teach the own child of love hereafter. Into the flood again. Same old trip it was back then. So I made a big mistake. Try to see it once my way. Yeah. Drifting, body, it's soul desertion. Flying
not yet quite the notion. Into the flood again, same old trip it was back then. So I made a big mistake, try to see it once my way. Same old trip, it was back then. So I made a big mistake, try to see it once my